But there is something to be said about the benefits of basic. About things like just how quiet a Jeep can really be, especially if it's stock, running a hardtop, and a set of street tires. Of course, there's also the gas mileage thing. As much as I love our Gladiator, this thing is in fact a big, heavy, unaerodynamic beast. And we're lucky to average 13, maybe 14 miles to the gallon. And that's on a flat highway, cruising at 65 miles an hour. Throw in a little headwind and a hill or two to climb, and we're lucky to be doing 6 to 8. But in this thing, a basic 2-door JL Wrangler Sport with a 6-speed manual transmission, we were able to drive this thing all the way home from Idaho, doing 80. We hit headwinds, we had hills to climb, and yet we still managed to average over 21 miles to the gallon. And we could have easily done better if I could only remember to put it in 6th and maybe slow down a bit. And then there are the brakes. When you've been driving big built-up Jeeps, or even old iron as long as we have, you kind of forget how super responsive the factory ones are, especially when you're running a set of stock wheels and tires. I mean, I literally feel like I'm going to put myself through the windshield every time I try to stop. And this is to say nothing about maneuverability. While 40-inch tires or bigger will help you to take on some really big obstacles, you really need to be running them with a set of 1-ton axles. And if there's a downside to that, other than the crazy high cost of them, it's that they'll have you turning about as good as a 1-ton truck. Sure, this is a 2-door and not really a fair comparison, being that it can turn on a dime. But even in a 4-door or JT running factory axles, it'll turn tighter circles than any rig with a set of 1-tons could ever hope to. When it comes to transmissions, I'd be the first to say there's a lot to like about the all-new 8-speed automatic. But I'd also say there are real benefits to owning a manual. Aside from it being a whole lot more fun to drive, or at least to me anyway, there's a whole lot less to go wrong with one. Certainly, you don't have to worry as much about how hot it's getting. And on an automatic, you have to worry about things like your sump pan getting crushed in or punctured, or your cooler lines getting torn out by renegade roots and rocks. On a manual, you don't have to worry about any of that. And with fewer and fewer people who know how to drive one, they're quickly becoming the ultimate theft prevention system. Now, there are obvious benefits to having a big built-up Jeep, especially if you play hard off-road. But not everybody needs to be taking on the biggest rocks or the hardest obstacles. For some, exploring desert trails and old fire roads is the most off-roading they'll ever do. And for them, a basic Jeep like this is all they'll ever really need. And depending on how old you are, or maybe how short you are, getting in and out of a stock Jeep can be a lot easier. As most of you may know, Cindy and I have built our fair share of Jeeps. And if there's one thing we've learned over the years, it's that not all lift kits are made the same. Depending on the components that you get or don't get, going taller can completely change the quality of your ride and handling, and not always in a good way. And this is to say nothing about the myriad of squeaks, clunks, and or vibrations that you might get from one as well. Again, if there's a benefit to keeping your Jeep as basic and stock as possible, it'd be in the fact that Jeep spends millions of dollars and countless hours designing and developing a suspension system that's going to be smooth to ride in, that's going to handle well, it's going to be durable and remain quiet. And for the most part, for the life of the Jeep. Now, I'm sure there's a whole lot more that I could be touching on, but these are just a few of the things that I've been thinking about since bringing home Pippi, a brand new two-door JL Wrangler Sport. And just so that there's no misunderstanding, I'm not trying to suggest that a stock Jeep is somehow better than a built-up one, or that people shouldn't build up theirs. All I'm trying to do is to keep it real, and to point out a few of the things that I personally think are benefits of a basic Jeep. That'll allow us to go outside. Want to go outside? Let's go test them out.